Namaste to everybody. Today we are going to have a podcast by Adhi Narayanan. Adhi Narayanan is known to some of our own colleagues here. Earlier he was a IT sector, he was a faculty in Amrita Institute. He is a Siddha Yogi and a founder of Anaadi Foundation, serving the society through spiritual initiatives and the introduction of Indian knowledge system in the areas of education, sustainable living and wellness. Adhi Narayanan has written a very beautiful article in our second volume of Promoting Pathways to Sustainable Living, Redefining Modernity. And he himself is actually running a very good Gurukula, and he always feels that the real Renaissance will take place only through Gurukula system. We have not given any very specific topic to Adhi Narayanan. His personal life and the work itself is very nice and worth emulating. So I will leave it to Adhi Narayanan to choose his topic, or if he feels, he himself can talk about his personal life as well as work. Over to Adhi Narayanan.
Namaste Vasudev ji, Namaste Sanjay Banerjee ji. Very happy. Namaste to everyone here. Thank you for the kind introduction, Vasudev ji. I used to participate in the earlier meetings, but because of the organizational activities, I have not been able to participate on a regular basis every Sunday. But definitely my heart and feelings are with this initiative, very important initiative. And from childhood, my sister, I have two elder sisters, my sister Gomati used to inspire me with Swami Vivekananda's words. And she had a childhood dream of joining Vivekananda Kendra after 12th standard. But for whatever fortuitous reasons that could not happen, now she serves full time at Anaadi Foundation in an honorary position as CEO, taking care of social projects, serving society and serving Bharat. So that way we have been fortunate to be inspired by the great work and vision shown by Vivekananda Kendra. Words cannot do justice to it. And it is our great good fortune that we now get to speak in this forum as well, sharing the little work that can contribute to Bharat and the world, for all Jiva Rashis to live well, to attain to fulfillment. Because in the Indian spiritual tradition, in the Siddha Parampara, any Jivatma that comes to Bhuloka, it's the fundamental right to live a fulfilled life. So that sense of fulfillment becomes very important. Like in the Upanishadic shloka, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Dachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So that way, that Purnatva, experiencing that completeness or that fulfillment, is the birthright of every Jivatma that comes to Bhuloka. And the circumstances here have to be aligned towards helping that fulfillment, and that is Dharma. And that definitely Bharat, our Rishi Parampara, has shown that way, which can guide the world towards that. Because obviously, as we can see, even simple things are extremely complex to achieve. And hence, we need appropriate guidance, appropriate orientation to be able to achieve it. So even sustainability, which seems very straightforward, it should be at the top of the mind of anybody living in this Bhuloka. But that's not how it is. So obviously we see that appropriate samskara being brought in becomes very important. That's why our effort has been to initiate this in the educational process, in the Gurukulam, through reaching out to children and youth, by which these samskaras, along with jnana. So jnana gives a theoretical framework, but the samskaras help them to actually realize this in their lives. So that's why, for example, Mata Amritanandamayi Devi used to call this samskara abhyasa. So that is the true purport of education, where giving the enabling samskaras, empowering the children with those samskaras that will lead to personal prosperity, health and happiness, which will lead to familial prosperity, health and happiness, which will lead to societal prosperity, health and happiness, and which will lead to the world becoming prosperous, healthy and happy. So this is not a very easy thing to achieve, as we can see in current state of affairs. Very tough to achieve, and very tough for people to even get convinced that this is valuable. So what is the value of living a sustainable life? So that has to be shown through jnana as well as through appropriate samskara abhyasa, so that people can realize this practically, efficiently and effectively in their lives. So that way, this journey, essentially, if we contextualize it, the journey of sustainability is situated in the larger spiritual context, if I can use my life as an illustration. There is no personal glory in it. I view Adhi Narayanan just as everyone views it. So that way, in the spiritual tradition, we use life stories as illustrative of certain principles. So in that sense, if I can illustrate through my life story, how I started looking at these principles in a serious manner, in an educational context. The purpose being that being useful for others to also look into. Just as our Puranas, for example, Ramayana, through Bhagavan Rama's story, everyone gets inspiration on the right value systems, on the principles of dharma, on the principles of purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Like that, we can use our stories as inspiration for illustrating certain principles. So that's where situating sustainability not as a in isolation, but in the context of the larger spiritual tradition of the Rishi Parampara or the Siddha Parampara of Bharat becomes very helpful. So that way I had the good fortune of a very comfortable family upbringing, very simple. We can call it in current terms, we call it a middle class family. My father was with the Department of Atomic Energy and a transferable job. So I grew up in very simple, central government colonies with good education, comfortable growing up, with simple samskaras of Sandhya Mandaram, going to a temple. And as I grew up, my Ishta Devata when I was a child was Hanumanji. So daily I would chant the Hanuman Chalisa. So simple samskaras that help in the growth of a child, where one of the fundamental samskaras is cultivation of the right emotional spirit. So reflecting in emotions, the greatest values, becomes a very important samskara to inculcate. That's why in the Bharatiya tradition, Ishta Devata or Guru, Upasana, these are introduced at an early age so that the emotions are cultivated and stabilized. Otherwise, in regular human life, we might reflect the lower emotional values of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So to cultivate higher emotional values, we need to reflect the Devata. So that I had the benefit of in childhood, my Ishta Devata being Hanumanji. So that gave me that spirit. So talking to him, doing his upasana, doing his japa, doing Hanuman Chalisa. All these inculcate those emotional values because the mind or the emotions is what it sees and reflects. So it's reflecting in nature, reflective in nature. So that way, Hanumanji played a very important role at that stage for my emotional development and also my holistic development as a child. Then after my engineering, I went for my master's in the US, MS in computer engineering. And in education system, now and then also, we see there is pradhanta of artha and kama, but dharma and moksha are missing mostly. So if we see engineering education, for example, professional education, it is more artha pradhana. So why study? You study for a job. So that becomes like an automatic reasoning because that's the assumption. But it need not be automatic. Later on, I started, and moksha is not shown. It's surprisingly missing from education. While moksha is clearly illustrated through all our Indian knowledge systems process. If we look at any of our shastra, it will be clearly explained what is the prayojana, what is the use of that shastra. Very surprisingly, you will find even in Shiksha, for example, the science of phonetics, language phonetics or Vyakarana, it will be explained that it is to fulfill the Purushartha and leading to moksha. So the Shastra itself, the knowledge itself is explaining that the purpose of education, the purpose of that field of knowledge is to achieve the Purushartha and especially leading to moksha. So very, very illustrative, very powerful. While current educational process, if I go for an engineering degree, the best aspiration is to get a job. How did we, obviously it's a shrinking in terms of the aspiration. The human aspiration has been reduced to just survival. How did this come to be? Later I started understanding. And to fuel that, one of the key things that happened that after my master's, I had a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening. And that happened in a very simple manner. My desires got emptied. My mind became still and my breath also stopped. For 3 days I was left physically alone and these all happened very spontaneously. I can only say that the time had come. It's called karma vinay. The vinay payan aranjach. So that karmic this had fulfilled. That's how the reasoning goes later. So later, with that experience, when my roommates, who were well-wishers, who genuinely wished well, but they had questions as to what had happened. Is this even normal? What is the proof that you are normal? So for those purposes, I had to invest in study. I had to invest in study of Bhagavad Gita, of Brahma Sutra, of Upanishads, of Yoga Shastra. Like that, when I started studying, then I understood that the experience that had happened can be called samadhi. So samadhi is, I could not find equivalent literature in Western philosophy and psychology, but in Indian knowledge systems, I clearly found clear descriptions of such phenomena. Very clear descriptions, which are not looked at as neuropathological conditions, so which otherwise would be treated as abnormal conditions, while these are treated as absolutely normal aspirational aspects. So very interesting. So that's why the knowledge frameworks that we adopt to view our experience, depending on the frameworks adopted, the experiences themselves could blossom or shrink. Just like education. Now, the educational experience makes us shrink into just a survival mode, which is not a great idea. So, deeper aspirations can awaken if we are introduced to appropriate educational process and content. So, with this experience, many things started awakening in my awareness. I started realizing what are purva samskaras, what is meant by prarabdha, the role of a guru. With Guru Kripa, this had happened. Then later, I was introduced to my guru. So the Adinam preserves, Tirumula's Jiva Samadhi and the Tirumandiram. So the Tirumandiram is one of the Tirumurais, or the 12 important canonical texts of Shaiva Siddhanta. So you can see from various lines the Siddha Gurus contribute to society. So Tirumula's Tirumandiram is considered a classic. He is considered one of the Nayanmars, or the greatest of Shiva Bhaktas. He is also considered one of the Siddha, the Padinetta Siddhargal, the 18 Siddha tradition of Tamil Nadu. He is also considered one of the, in the Nath Sampradaya. So he is considered as Sundaranath, who was coming to meet Agasthyar in the south. And in the process, in the Agaya Margam, when he was traveling, he saw some cows crying over the dead cow herd. And out of compassion, he did Parakaya Pravesha. So he preserved his body and he entered the body of Moolan, and guided the cows to safety. And then people realized he is a great Mahatma. And when he returned back, he could not find his body, the Siddha Deha. And he understood it as Shiva Leela. So he went back to, every year he would awaken from Samadhi and gave one mandiram. That is the Tirumandiram. So which is a compilation of about 3,000 plus verses in Tamil. So as Sundaranath, he is also part of the Nath Sampradaya. His guru is Nandi Nath in the Nath Sampradaya. In South India, he is called Nandishwara. So we can see this is a live tradition. When we say Bharat, we are guided by our rishis, by our Siddha Purushas, Mahapurushas, Mahatmas, who guide us onto the right value systems. And that is very important guidance, because otherwise we might be confused as to what is a right value system. Why should we adopt sustainable lifestyles, which is a very important value system. So, and for that, the knowledge system that we connect with becomes very critical. When we connect with our own Bharatiya Drishti through the Rishi Parampara, our knowledge systems, we are empowered to live a sustainable life. When we connect with a limited knowledge system, then we are not empowered to live a knowledge, a sustainable life, and hence the sustainable life in retrospective it's something like a patchwork, not a holistic mechanism. So that's the role of a knowledge system, and the knowledge system being Bharatiya. We have the good fortune of guidance from our rishis, from our siddhas, from the Mahatmas, Mahapurushas, who take active interest, in a life of proper values. Because without the appropriate values, what is life? A human life is a degraded, now we see that degradation, which has happened because we are not connected to our own, tradition in terms of the knowledge systems. We don't recognize our own rishis, siddhas. When we say history, someone asked me, Tirumular is a mythical person. He is not a historical person. Then why is there a Adinam maintaining his, Tirumandiram? Adinam is a historical entity. So it is clearly maintaining. So for whose story are we willing to believe in? And that's where the idea of colonization becomes important. That we will touch upon. That was a discovery as I was discovering various knowledge processes, which I did not have the benefit of in a simple engineering degree. It's a simplistic knowledge system that we are exposed to in K-12 education and then even engineering, medicine and so on. Very simplistic process. I would not call it extremely sophisticated, very simplistic, because it has not achieved the real results of holistic well-being. A system has to be evaluated with respect to the results, the outcomes. The outcomes are in terms of actual life lived. Our Siddhas and Mahatmas, our Rishis have shown clearly that it's, human life can be lived in a dignified manner, in a great manner. And those are the holistic outcomes that are aspirational. Now, through our current educational process, we have not achieved it. It's a very simple analysis. I am talking from my own experience as well. Now, I received what is called the best of education, and yet I had not achieved the simple outcomes of holistic well-being, which is proof of good knowledge. So knowledge has to lead to outcome in terms of well-being. Otherwise, that knowledge is not worth it. So in that sense, when we approach sustainability in a holistic framework, it is spiritual. So those values become very important. So I had a discovery of these values after the spiritual experience of Samadhi through Guru Kripa. And later I was introduced by Tirumular to Kriya Babaji as my Guru for this lifetime. Then various is called YOLO. You only live once. Okay? You only live once. And that's it. Then who are you before you were born? There is no reasoning. It's a black box. So what you don't know, you don't look at that side at all. You just ignore, and hence you just assume you only live once. That's not a right attitude to adopt. Who will you be after you leave the body? There is no such thing at all. Without such reasoning, how do you participate in your current reality? What will you aspire for? What will be the motivation to live a full life? What is meant by a full life? So these all become highly questionable, and that all is because we have not been introduced to that knowledge. For example, if we study Mahabharata, Dhritarashtra asked Raja Yudhishthira, after these warriors left their body, where did they go to? A very clear question with certain assumptions. In modern sciences, this assumption would be poo-poo or considered pseudo-scientific at best, considered of literary value, not of scientific value. While that assumption itself is a problem. So, Dhritarashtra is asking Raja Yudhishthira, where did the warriors, after leaving their body, where did they journey to? This is a very powerful question with powerful assumptions. It clearly dismisses the assumption of YOLO, you only live once. Okay. And Raja Yudhishthira, who has Divya Drishti, answers, those warriors that did not show any interest in performing their swadharma. This is the reasoning applied. So that did not show any interest in performing their swadharma. They, on running away, were killed. They went to one loka, Guhyaka Loka. Those warriors that did not perform their swadharma with enthusiasm, they just fought. They, on giving up their bodies, they went to Gandharva Loka, a better Loka. Those warriors that performed their swadharma with enthusiasm, they went to Indraloka or Devaloka, much better Loka. Those warriors that not just performed their swadharma with enthusiasm, but inspired everybody to be firm in their swadharma, showed Shaurya, Dhairya, Virya, everything. They, on giving up their bodies, they went to Brahmaloka. This response is highly educational, highly illustrative of the principles of Dharma. How should we live our life now? So please contrast this with YOLO. You only live once, and hence there is no principle to illustrate why should you live a sustainable life now. What if you just party? You just throw away your life because you only live once. So what is the consequence of your life? Nothing. You live, you're a cog in a wheel. You are a part in an indifferent universe. So it's just clockwork mechanism. This is delusional. While whatever Siddhas illustrate is not delusional. It is illustrative of the principles of Dharma. So that's why it is taught Aram Seyya Virumbu. So these all were discovery for me after this spiritual awakening, where having received a very simple education in terms of engineering, masters in the US, which I would not consider it holistic. Later, I was introduced to our Shastras. Not a technical introduction, but more in terms of this, the aspiration. How can I use that knowledge to solve problems in society, my immediate society and the larger society? All those I had to go back to our Rishis' works, our Siddhas' works, and that became the journey. It was a very exciting journey. So that way I could, as I invested in it, I grew in confidence. So I started understanding, these are not new problems. These have been problems that have been solved, and the best practices have been given. And that's how my discovery of Indian culture, Bharatiya Samskriti, was in terms of civilizational best practices that can guide each individual in their personal lives and their societal lives, their family lives, and so on. So that way, that knowledge being made available as best practices is a very powerful, enabling and empowering framework of our Rishi Parampara, of our Bharatiya Samskriti. So this led to a gradual unfoldment of the discovery of Indian culture through various exciting events in my life as they unfolded. So, for example, I had the good fortune of serving in Amma's institution, in Amrita University. I was teaching initially information technology. I and my wife, we were teaching information technology, computer science, and also teaching cultural education. Also we had an open door policy. From morning 4 a.m. to night 12, our doors would be open, and students would walk in from different departments. Some would come for playing with children, some would come for dance, drama, music, some would come for yoga, meditation, some would come for Vedantic discussions, some would just come for Linux hacking. I was a Linux hacker. Hacking is improving software. Then I turned into a life hacker, improving lives, instead of just software. So that's an upgradation. So I don't consider it, I've given up that. I have just upgraded what knowledge I had. I added more dimensions. So that way, the knowledge has really been enabling. So it is not a conflicting. That's why it's samadhana. It is not this versus that. So, however we could best serve our students, through that service, we gained a lot in terms of they would ask us questions, and through that we got the opportunity to research deeper and then present to them convincing ideas from our Shastras. So that's how we introduced, for example, Mahabharata as a course for undergraduate engineering students in Amrita. So these were a very exciting discovery process for us as well, where we need to present to them ideas in a convincing manner, and for that we had to experiment, we had to live it, we had to gain clarity, because we were, we are all trained in what is called modernity in terms of urbanization, where even simple ideas, simple Indian ideas can be very complex to understand. Recently we had been to Prayagraj. So we were given space by the government and we could do seva. I'm happy to say we could serve about 1 lakh Annadana in about 45 days time. So these are all great opportunities for seva. And through all this, if we look at Prayaga Kshetra, what we were given, we are working so hard, we are doing everything. But what is the asset that we are investing in? In an urban society, an asset is in terms of physical house, car, education, healthcare, and good healthcare means big hospitals. Good education means big institutions, and that means a lot of money. Like that, it's all associated with money. In Prayagraj, if you are living, you are working hard. Now, what is the asset that you are investing in? It is in terms of freedom. So, the physical asset will vanish in 45 days because we are sitting in Ganga. She has given us space. She will occupy that space after some time. Now if we go, the space where we were in doing seva could be occupied by Ganga. It is her territory. So that way, we cannot own that land. Then why are we working so hard? It is cold, 5 degrees Celsius, and at 3 a.m. we would have a simple ritual of taking Murugan to Ganga for Ganga Snan. So we would do Snan, we would do Abhisheka of Murugan, bring him back, and then set up the Yajna Kunda. The Dhuni would be set up. There will be Japa, Homa, Sahasranama, and all that, and then Pravachana. So why invest in these activities? Now with our current educational process, if we study engineering or medicine or law or commerce or BA, BCom or regular kindergarten to 12th standard, there would be no reasoning as to why Prayagraj or why a Kumbh Mela. So it is beyond reasoning, and hence it is now considered illogical. While actually it's logical. You are investing. Even from an economic angle, we could see, for example, outside there were so many vendors who we were interacting with, who would Nitya Annadana, they would also come, take the prasad, have the bhojan prasad. Simple village people who cannot have an address in a business district, because having an address in a business district is very expensive. While they still, can make a lot of even wealth, setting up a simple shop in Prayaga Kshetra during the Kumbh Mela, because crores of people are coming. So even as an economic activity, it's a huge economic activity. And this is the economies of peace, not the economies of war. While war is generally considered the important driving factor for research and development of economic engine and so on. While this is the economics of peace, where development is fueled through peaceful engagement, where in the Kumbh Mela, crores of people are coming. Apparently about 80 crore people had visited during the Kumbh Parva. And people are wealth. People are not a problem. So they coming, mixing. Everyone is, chanting Har Har Mahadev and happy. There is no sign of depression. And they are taking Sangam Snan. There is no pandemic. So then, how do we inform ourselves with respect to the value of this Indian practice, which has been declared a intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO? What is the value? Our children and youth are not given the eyes through proper knowledge to appreciate typical Indian tradition. So where is there a gap? So this gap we realized when we had the opportunity of serving in Amrita University, where we clearly understood children coming from regular schools or regular colleges. There is there a gap, and that gap has to be filled by introducing appropriate knowledge. And that led us, I had the good fortune of spending more than 300 days in Mauna Tapasya over a period of time. And with Murugan's guidance, Murugan is my Ishta Devata, we settled down in a Kshetra Ivar Malai, which is about 15 kilometers west of Payani. Ivar Malai is a Siddha Kshetra. Because of Purva Samskaras, we settled down in Ivar Malai. And now there is a Goshala with about 40 bulls primarily and a few cows. And about 40 children study in the residential Gurukulam here. We have also, because of this inspiration that knowledge has to be introduced, we have been inspired by Vyasa Bhagavan and Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padal. So we have set up, just as Veda Patashalas are kept free of cost, we have kept our Gurukulams free of cost, where our Shastras are introduced along with modern sciences, because we have the benefit of modern sciences as well. We have now a non-residential Gurukulam in Hyderabad, in Secunderabad, in Bhagyanagar. We have two Bala Gurukulams which serve the age group of 2.5 years to 5 years, because we understood that the children are still chanting Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool, one for my master. These are colonized ideas which are not worthwhile introducing to children. Our Shastras can be introduced in an appropriate manner, age-appropriate manner, and that is very important enablement for our children. Such a degraded, in the name of rhymes, it's an insult to the growing child, which has to be rightly oriented, because as the Jivatma, it has to be oriented to the life in Bhuloka. What would be an empowering or an enabling education? That is the consideration. So it is not a colonized thing, who's my master, it's not, that's not the right orientation to give a child. So we have set up two Bala Gurukulams in Bhagyanagar. One is upcoming in Bangalore, along with Madras Sanskrit College in Chennai. One is opening there. So like this has been our effort, because we understood that knowledge becomes a very critical part in living a sustainable life. Because what happened with the colonization process is that we now study Columbus discovered America, Vasco da Gama discovered India, is something that I learned when I traveled abroad interacting with people. They study that Vasco da Gama discovered India. It was horrifying for me. Then when I researched on the bird discovery, I started understanding how it is related to the doctrine of discovery, or the more specifically doctrine of Christian discovery, which was a papal bull. This can be researched upon, which enabled Christianized European nations to colonize the entire world. So that's why all nations now celebrate Independence Day. Even when we go to USA, US celebrates Independence Day. Why would they celebrate independence? From whom? So that history is not now clearly illustrated. So the whole world, North America was colonized, South America was colonized, Africa was colonized, Asia was colonized, Australia. So the whole world was colonized. So we have to understand this from that light, the colonization light. Then we would start appreciating the role of our Shastras, a proper introduction to it. Otherwise, the colonized ideas look at our own Shastras. For example, Ramayana, Mahabharata, when we used to teach it to undergrad engineering students, they used to look at it as mythology, Mithya Jnana. Then we had to establish that it's not mythology. Where is the coloring coming from? That's a colonization filter that is applied, where our own Shri Bhagavan Rama, Bhagavan Krishna, or our own Siddhas, our own Rishis are looked at as mythological figures, mythical figures, not as clear historical personalities guiding us with the right knowledge. Because whatever knowledge they have given then becomes pseudoscience, not science. But we as Bharatiyas, if we are introduced to that right knowledge, then we will gain from it and also teach the world, which makes us a Vishwaguru. And there is so much to gain from our Rishi Sampradaya. So in that spirit, we are endeavoring to start these gurukulams. And in these gurukulams, for example, let me show a video here, a short video, to illustrate the principles of sustainability that are followed here. The sustainability principles, let me share my screen. Please give me a minute. I hope you can view my screen. So in the Anaadi Dharma Gurukulam here in Aivarmalai, it is cow-centric sustainability that we focus on. Why Gomata is considered Dharma Rakshana, again, is a deep philosophical orientation by our rishis. So Dharma Rakshana includes Go Samrakshana, and Go also includes Nandi Samrakshana. So we see that earlier, cow-based economy was not a primitive economy. In our Puranas, if you look at, we have very advanced knowledge system. So it is not a primitive knowledge system. Now, because of the colonization process, many people tend to think that now we are advanced and earlier we were primitive. For example, the idea of history that was introduced us earlier, we had Stone Age, we had the hunters and gatherers, primitive barbarians, and now we are civilized, advanced. In the future, we will be more advanced. But that is not the view that we get when we study, when we are students of our own Itihasa Purana. Our own Itihasa Purana, if we look at, it's very advanced, even in terms of civilizational approaches, in terms of ethics and values, in terms of, what is Dharma. For example, the principle of Raja Dharma is illustrated, where a Rajan has to treat his praja like a pregnant mother should treat her unborn child. While if we look at Western, say, economic sciences, there would be the idea of, roving bandit and a stationary bandit. So the stationary bandit is the Raja or the king. Or now in modern terms, the stationary bandit is the state. That's a very wrong example to quote. That shows the mindset. While we have the right pramana, right udaharana. So that is a Raja treating his praja like a pregnant mother treating her unborn child, and that is a roving bandit and a stationary bandit. His economics are about loot. We all know that India has been looted more than $45 trillion during the colonization period. As a side joke, I was interacting with a person who visited London, and there he has visited the museum, and there is a popular saying that the London Museum is called Chor Bazaar because all the loot from India is there. So that's a very important point to understand. So when we say Dharma Rakshana as Go Samrakshana, we see, for example, we are trying out cow dung, bull dung stabilized mud, which is fermented for a few days. Compressed biogas giving a mileage of 150 kilometers on a Honda Activa. So 1 kg cylindrified biogas is able to give 150 kilometer mileage. Should we not draw upon this? Why should we consider this pseudoscience? So it beats all logic. Where there is benefit, we should reverse engineer to understand what is the science behind it. Similarly, cooking fuel. So when we see these for transportation, for electricity generation, for cooking fuel, so energy we can use gobar. For construction we can use gobar. For farming and production of seeds, grains, we can use gobar. Even for medicines, if we look at Kamadhenu, Govar is considered Bar. Bar means boon of the cow. And Mahalakshmi is situated in the hind part. Where tradition is very highly illustrative. Our rishis have been, have built in such clear principles into the best practices, which cannot be ignored. Similarly, Go Arka, Go Mutra is where Dhanavantri is situated. And Dhanavantri is the
Madam, இதை பத்தி ஒரு books இருக்கு. ஒன்னு வாங்கிட்டு போவீங்களா? ஒரு சின்ன help பண்ணுவீங்க?
is one who gave Ayurveda. So these principles form the basis for sustainability, and these also are combined with, as you can see in this slide, you can see it is combined with the sustainability development goals by the UN. So this just to show a quick 2-minute video. So this is
Anaadi Dharma Gurukulam, we reconnect with the land through timeless practice of working with Gomaya, the sacred dung of native Desi cows and bulls. All might not know this, that Gomaya is rich in lactobacillus, bacillus subtilis and actinomycetes. What appears rustic is a treasure trove of microbiological life. These help cleanse the air, enrich the soil and helps ward off unwanted bacteria. We make buldung logs for effective fuel and cow dung cakes for evening Agni Kriya. We even make eco-friendly bricks. These are biodegradable and does not harm the environment. Just like nature intended. We lead a chemical-free life in our Gurukulam, and we also prepare our own bioenzymes. This is what sustainability looks like in real life. At Anaadi Dharma Gurukulam, we don't just talk about nature, we live in rhythm with it. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
So this is a brief glimpse, and this is situated in the larger knowledge system. So we introduce them to knowledge of our rishis, Nakshatra Vidya, Ayurveda, Ganita Shastra, Sanskritam obviously is the base of all this. We also intend to introduce the Siddha Shastras in Tamil. For example, Agastya Pernul Kavyam or Bogar Saptakandam, Tirumandiram Tirumular. Because in the way forward that we propose in terms of a sustainable lifestyle is not against development, but more in terms of, for example, during the Kashi Tamil Changamam of this year, Agastya was the theme. So Agastya is our Paramaguru. So Agasthyar has composed a work called Ilaka Saumya Sagaram. Recently we had a seminar where we invited a member of the Indian Space Agency along with a Siddha Vaidya, and the theme was Gyavana Guligai. So Gyavana Margam means a space. Guligai is a mercury preparation by which one can travel in space. So for the space age, what are the sustainability values that become very critical? So it is not against research and development, because we see in Ramayana, if we see, there is multi-loka communication. In all our Puranas, there is multi-loka communication. In even our Veda mantras, there is Avahana, there is multi-loka communication. What are we missing now? That is another assumption that we try to debunk, where one assumption is only life only exists here. There is no evidence elsewhere. In all our Shastras, in our Puranas, there is clear evidence. So going by that, for a space age, what are the educational outcomes that will lead to real sustainable values? With such aspiration, when we have an educational orientation, then that is true development which will position Bharat as Vishwaguru. We can definitely guide the world. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. So this is the principle of protecting Dharma that can guide us towards a Viksit Bharat. So Dhanyavada. Thank you for this opportunity. I stop here.
Well, we are really fortunate to have such a motivating podcast by Adhi Narayanji. Adhi Narayanji is very busy, particularly on Sundays, and a lot of time he spends on Mauna. But because of his love for Vivekananda Kendra, he agreed to have a podcast at 10 o'clock, because we have meeting it regularly for the last 2.5 years. Thank you very much, Adhi Narayanji. Now over to our other group members for questions, if they have. And now our Madan Kumar will take over.
Namaste Adhi Narayanji. It is nice listening to you. It has been a blessing and privilege for us actually. The way we have presented us the knowledge system roots and the pursuit perspective has been well set, and also practices which you have been doing have been an eye-opener for all of us. In fact, we have been earlier knowing because of our association with Vivekananda Kendra. So it has been very good. Probably, openly speaking, I wish I had become younger or become a child to go into this Gurukula and learn all these things. Sometimes a lot of jealous comes out of seeing such people, and that too a couple leading a very ideal way of life. That's been a very inspiring for us. And the inspiration from Amma, the inspiration, the way in which you are shaping yourself and shaping the careers of others has been very inspiring. In fact, on hearing you, all our working group members would be getting the benefit of why they should go in for the sustainable living with the deep-rooted Indian knowledge system. Already our Sanjay Banerjee, who has been our mentor in all these things, has raised his hand. Over to Sanjay Banerjee, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Oh, no, sure, Adhi Narayanji. It's a pleasure seeing you. I can't switch on my camera, I'm sorry. But, greetings and prayers to Amma for your continued progress. Oh, no, sure.
Over to other working group members for the reflection and questions, please.
Adhi Narayanji, Namaste, Raghunandan. Actually, you reminded me of a statement made by one of the illustrious disciples of Shankaracharya, Sureshwaracharya ji, who was the southern pontiff of Shankara Mathas. In one place he says that as many people, there are so many ways of practicing our dharma. So what he says that each one of us is practicing something, and all of it is going towards only one principle or one destination, if I may say so. So he says, yaya yaya bhavet punsam vyutpatti pratyagatmani sasaiva prakriya sadhvi jneya sa chanavastita. He said, whatever is leading you towards your own Atman, that can become a pathway for you to reach that destination. And in the recent times, Shri Ramakrishna showed this path that you can reach anywhere. Because I'm basically a devotee of Shri Ramakrishna, I remember only him. In a way, he is my guru. So what he says and what you were talking, in fact, it was so as if somebody else who knows me is intimately talking my own thoughts. Thank you so much. It was very good. Maybe one of these days, or maybe in near future, we'd like to visit your institution. I'll get the details from Madanji. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
On the way, you can visit Madurai also, Raghuji. It's very near only.
Okay. Madan, in fact, he always has a standing invitation. I'll definitely come. Thank you.
Please. Yeah, over to other members.
Valliyappan, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Adhi Narayanji, for the very inspiring presentation. My only question or doubt is, I think since you have seen the Western countries, everything in terms of innovation, probably the Western countries are ahead, and even China is catching up. And you gave one or two examples of how, based on our Indian culture and our way of life, there are a lot many things that I think we are exploring or we have already explored in the past. But my question is, like, say, some of the innovations from India, the new ones, do you think will come there when we start exploring our Indian culture, and then if proper motivation and empowerment is there, will it lead to real innovation in sustainability?
Yes, so that's a very important question. Thank you, Valliyappan, for asking. If I can present my perspective, it is in terms of innovation is not against sustainability, or sustainability is not against innovation. So those are very important clarification that is important, where consumerism has to be separated from innovation. Now most innovation are for consumerism. So it fuels consumerism. I believe this is driven by the West, because the idea of, for example, American dream, all innovation is for consumerism. It's like time to market drives innovation. If we decouple marketing or consumerism from innovation or research and development, I believe that is the way forward, because human creativity, innovation or research and development is the expression of human creativity. But when it gets mixed up with market dynamics, because everything is tied into, this is called Artha Pradhana. Artha Pradhana means everything is tied to money, let's say. Instead, Bharat can show the way of Dharma Pradhana. So Dharma Pradhana means it is not just, so innovation, research and development need not be guided by just market forces. It can be guided by larger Dharma. So then sustainability would be intertwined with it. So our Siddhas and Rishis have shown the way, where there has been great innovation, great research development, all of that, and yet sustainable living. And their appropriate architectures of society, for example, a three-tiered architecture of city, Nagara, Grama, village, and Aranya, or forest. Like this, appropriate, economic sciences, Artha Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Niti Shastra, all these are there. So we can draw from these knowledge systems to guide us to grow further. Then we would see, for example, AI or cybersecurity, appropriate defense strategies. Shri Rama was known for these. Bhagavan Krishna was known for these. Our rishis have given appropriate shastras for these. So that way it's not against, it's not when we say Indian sustainability, it may not be going in Eurocentric terms, it is not going back to the dark ages, but it is going back to our ancient ages, and that will be moving forward because our ancient system before the pre-Christianization process, if we look at, it's a if we look at our Itihasa Puranas, it is a great life. It is not it is not underdeveloped life. So that if we have to look at, then that principle, if with that principle we approach innovation, AI, all the research and development, even cyber security and so on, then that I think is the way forward. That our Siddhas clearly demonstrate if we study Agasthyar or Bhogar or Tirumular or Nandishwarar. They clearly demonstrate this kind of an understanding. It's not against innovation. It's in fact a lot more innovation, which drives us to the space age. That is the underlying theme that I get when I study these texts. So it's not against innovation. That's where combining modern sciences with ancient sciences, I believe, can be a very powerful framework. So here, cow-centric sustainability we teach along with microbiomics, neurosciences. So we had a scientist from NIMHANS who explained the benefits of cow-centrism in terms of gut microbial, growth, gut-brain axis, and so on. So like that, we will have to combine. So AI can be used for, AI proceeds, if we look at data wrangling, the right data needs to be provided to the AI engine. Now, Indian data is not provided. Indian data, not modern data. Indian knowledge is not provided to the AI engine. Then what kind of AI engine will develop? It is just like a child being fed wrong content or limited content. We need to feed it with our Indian content, Indian Shastras, by which AI also will develop appropriately. So instead of Elon Musk calling for colonizing Mars, our Siddhas have looked at as Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, the same extending to the whole universe, where when we come in touch with the galactic community, how should we approach it? We need to approach it with the right value system. Those values become very, very critical. Those are the spiritual values guiding innovation, not against innovation. So those make it really sustainable or dharmic. I hope I have answered.
Yes, sir. Yes, actually, I mean, just to clarify, I fully agree with you that the current innovation is more linked to consumerism. There is no doubt about that. Yeah, but then, okay, in terms of sustainability, I thought probably India may take multiple steps forward with all our ancient principles and beliefs and all the shastras that you mentioned. So that's why I just wanted to get your view on that. Okay.
And practically, Vivekananda Kendra has shown the way forward. For example, gobar gas, compressed gobar gas. Now there is liquefied gobar gas. There is a company, I think Interstellar in Japan, which has shown it as rocket fuel. So if liquefied petroleum gas leads to environmental damage, liquefied gobar gas will not lead to environmental damage because it is available on the surface of the earth. We don't need to drill 20 kilometers into the earth, pollute the entire thing in the process of extracting crude oil and then refining it for petrol, diesel and all that. So liquefied petroleum gas will increase fiscal deficit. Liquefied gobar gas will decrease it. So that way, on all counts, Vivekananda Kendra has already shown the path. Now that needs to be taught in educational institutions. If children see that, because energy is required for all development. For example, in an AI world, we need surplus of energy. Where will that energy come from? Now we are investing in more, the world looks at energy in terms of non-bio methods. But we have Gomata. We just have to apply the right science and technology research in that direction. Then that is accessible, growth, accessible scientific progress, which is sustainable as well. So that way, liquefied gobar gas, if it can propel rockets, you can imagine it can be surplus. It can be made available to all Indians and then to the entire world, which is true sustainability.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Raghu wanted something.
Just a statement. Way back in 77, 78 and 79, when I was working for Kendra, I had the good fortune to go to Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. There was a group, Sanskrit group. All these professors, they used to meet every Sunday for about 2 or 3 hours. I had opportunity to attend a few of their meetings. In one of their meetings, one aeronautical engineering professor, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was Professor Mukundan or somebody. He said they have got an ancient manuscript called as Brihad Vimana Shastra. And these people are also, studying Sanskrit simultaneously. They were telling there are many shlokas which talk about the future, aeroplane, air vehicles. It says we are not able to make out the content of these shlokas. So if we are able to make them, probably that will be very good. So as you rightly said, we were advanced, but somehow maybe that's rise and fall.
That is true, Raghuji. Thank you for giving this clarification. That's where it's to do with the interpretation of certain scientific theories. For example, in quantum physics, there is the Copenhagen interpretation. Well, there is the David Bohm, de Broglie interpretation. So, depending on the interpretation that is applied, the whole thing changes. So, when we look at our Shastras, the Akasha is looked at as ether, and space. So, space is big. That will not lead to anything. But Akasha is ether. In quantum physics, right now, if I understand it, vacuum density is measured at around 10 power 93 grams per cubic centimeter. So that means it's that dense medium in which everything propagates. Why is there no resistance? Because it's, we are not at relativistic speeds. So it is at the Planck's or sub-Planck scale. When this kind of interpretation happens, then our Shastras become more meaningful. Otherwise, it's not meaningful, especially the secular divide where objectivity is separated from subjectivity. So consciousness or the mind does not have a role in matter. That is the Eurocentric problem. It is not our problem. So our Shastras have this holistic spread spectrum, a full spectrum approach, which requires a reorientation. That's why we are focusing on K-12 education. If we give the right orientation, then the interpretation of Shastras, the modern sciences can be used to propel growth. Otherwise, the modern sciences will seem as in conflict with our Shastra, because the subject aspect is taken away. The mind is taken away. Even people, for many people, psychosomatic problems are a big challenge to accept. How can psycho affect soma? But it is well known in Indian Shastras. So that's where the reorientation in terms of the frameworks that are used to analyze become very important.
Prakash.
Pranam. First of all, my sincere gratitude for this great listening, and I'm really indebted to you for these experiences which really authenticate the way I think, and it gives me a lot of meaning, the things which we are working at this place. 2-3 major observations. First, why I raised my hand is on simple point, was when you were narrating your Samadhi experience, immediately I connected with, because long back I had read the autobiography of Jiddu Krishnamurti written by Pupul Jayakar. In that autobiography, she narrated the experience of Samadhi or awakening of Jiddu Krishnamurti ji. How he was somewhere in America and what happened for 2 days or 3 days, and thereafter they came. And you also narrated a experience that how stillness has been achieved, and somewhere it was mentioned that it is due to your past karma or prarabdha or guru kripa that was there. I would like to listen a little more on that, because whether it is only prarabdha or people can inspire for it in this life or something, that is a part. My main person remains in that. two more observations after when I listened these things. One relating to biogas and cow-centric economy. I was gifted that way that my initial years of my government service, I worked for the biogas program, and I came connected with the respected Vastevji for the Narayanan and other. So I realized that what great value biogas program can make a difference in the life of people. Secondly, after my superannuation from government, when I came to this central Himalayan small place, then I started rearing a cow. And since last 3 years, I am realizing that what a difference it makes, not only in terms of the dung or urine, but her presence itself makes a difference in your thinking process. That is a great, my personal experience. And every day morning, it gives a new kind of meaning to life. Seeing cow, talking to her and sitting beside her, that makes a difference. This is point number 2. Third observation about this, respected Raghunandanji was mentioning about the Vimana Shastra. Fortunately, I had great association with Professor Mukunda of ISC Bangalore. He was working for biomass-based gasification system, and his laboratory was pioneer in that. And they developed some gasification systems which are globally known also. I read once his one article that this Viman Shastra, he mentioned that they worked in a group, and later they realized that it was not the real Viman Shastra. It was written only 200 or 150 years back, only somewhere like that. So I thought I shall mention this because this came through I could see that. Thank you, sir. Pranam again, and I am grateful to you for this great experience, and it's inspiring to us also. Thank you very much. Pranam.
Thank you, Prakashji, for those kind words. If I can share again for the purpose of illustration, when we talk of Samadhi, in the Yoga Shastra, Yoga means Samadhi. If we look at the Vyasa Bhashya, Yoga is not anything else. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha Tada Drashtu Swarupe Vasthana. This is very clearly stated at the beginning itself. And Yoga is Samadhi. So that as a Jivatma, if we come to Bhuloka, if we have an expanded perspective, why would we choose to come to Bhuloka? Even if we look at it from modern astronomical terms, there are more than 100 billion star systems in this Milky Way galaxy. And there are reportedly more than 1 trillion galaxies that astronomers obviously there would be life, a lot of diverse life form in the electromagnetic spectrum. Then why would we choose to come to Bhuloka, and why would we choose this form, this human form, to come to Bhuloka? That becomes a reasoning. So Jati, Ayu, Bhoga. Jati means what species we take birth in. Ayu is the life time. And the bhoga, the kinds of experiences that we are looking forward to. This kind of reasoning becomes very useful to understand what is meant by prarabdha. Prarabdha is that role that we choose to play for this lifetime for the purpose of our dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That's the reasoning that is applied. So in this, what we see is that generally it is svechachara. That means out of my own icha I take birth. But if we actually look at it, it is in concordance with our gurus, with our guides, that we generally we need guidance to take a role in this dense reality, which is Maya Rupa. It is like a movie show. Now, when we say Maya, it's not invalidating it. It's valid, but it is like a movie. We know it's 24 frames per second. For example, I'm talking here, you're re-seeing it. We all understand it's just a video. And video, it's data rate, it's bit rate, it's being transferred through the internet, all that. So this is Maya Rupa, but the Maya Rupa is for the, it has some purpose. It could be entertainment purpose, kama bhoga. It could be, educational purpose, knowledge purpose, artha. It could be even for understanding how to live, through what value systems should I approach life, all of that, dharma pradana, moksha pradana. like this. So when we say Maya Rupa, it is not considered invalid in the Siddha Parampara. It's considered valid. But what is your purpose for being there? So that's where, if we look at a Samadhi Anubhava, generally our purpose is driven by our immediate experience. So the data points of our own experience and immediate people. That is how our general lives are driven. But the whole idea of Samadhi is where you can connect with a deeper source. Then that life is divinized. So then there is that divine quality when you connect with that deeper source. That is Jivatma with Paramatma, or with your Guru, or the Ishtadevata, or Ishvara. We call it Ishvara Pranidhana. So in Kriya Yoga, Patanjali Maharishi looks at it as Swadhyaya, Tapasya, Ishvara Pranidhana. So Ishvara Pranidhana, where your centering is on Ishvara or the Guru, where there is a higher principle at in operation, and the process of yoga is to prepare the nervous system to resonate with that higher principle. When it starts resonating with that higher principle, then there is a Samadhi Anubhava, where there is a restructuring of the nervous system. Even at the cellular level, the restructuring happens, so that higher energies can flow and operate in this reality, which otherwise is dense. So that leads us to a deeper prarabdha, where the prarabdha is not based on lower order chakras, but on higher order chakras, dedicated to the Guru Parampara. I think I'm using a little bit of technical language here, but I hope it is understandable by the audience here. So these are a live process, and it's very complex to achieve. That's why when I said Guru Kripa, without that I could, it was not even my aspiration in this lifetime. From childhood, I have had the experience of viewing the body here, mind here. It has always been clear I am not that. But I did not have knowledge to corroborate the experience that I am having. So, and hence, the whole world would appear like a mirage, as hollow, not as worthwhile to engage in. There would be great detachment. But with the Samadhi experience, that settled down, where my nervous system settled down into accepting it and then operating in this reality. So that way, that's why with Ashtanga Yoga, preparation is done. Proper emotions, have to be balanced. Yama Niyama are important. Asana Siddhi is important. Pranayama is important, by which the energies can be regulated. There is all very essential preparation, and the dharana, what the mind holds as valid. That's why Nitya Upasana is important. Either Guru Dhyana or Ishtadevata. These are all in the yogic sense. Then later I discovered my connection to the Siddha Sampradaya. As I mentioned, Tirumular, Agastya. Agastya is foremost of the Siddhas. So when we look at lifetime, it is very clear that we are that Akshara Parabrahma Swarupa, Akshara Purusha. Bhagavan Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita clearly tells Arjuna, hey, you are that Akshara Purusha. Don't imagine you are that Kshara Purusha. So we now are conditioned by our Kshara Deha, or the degrading personality. But we are that Akshara Purusha. With Samadhi, it is like Sushupti or Urakam or deep sleep. Just that with Samadhi, there is a arising of Jnana, where it becomes clear that you are that Akshara Purusha. You have no uncertainty with respect to that Jnana. There is no doubt, the Samshaya goes away. That's the difference between deep sleep and Samadhi. In deep sleep, when we wake up, there is still Moha. In Samadhi, the Moha goes away. So that way, what happened to me, I was projecting this desire. I wanted to be a multimillionaire. I was working hard. And when my education completed, at that time, my desires settled. I was not projecting. I felt empty. because I had worked hard towards the masters, I felt empty. And my past was done. My future was not yet, I was not yet interested in my future. So there was that gap. Otherwise, the mind swings between past and future, past and future. So that gap becomes very essential. And for that, that Swadharma, Swadharmanishta becomes important. One expends one prarabdha, by which one gets that gap, and that gap is a deepening. So that when it happened, my breath suspended and the mind suspended. So otherwise the mind keeps on oscillating between, in the Jagrat Avastha or in the Swapna Avastha, it keeps on oscillating between past, future, past, future. So we need to find that gap. That gap happens when we align with Dharma. That's why Dharma is Moksha Karaka. So this initially with such an experience, initially, for example, day-night merge. I used to have 24/7 awareness. I could not switch off awareness. So there is nowhere to hide. There is no place to hide. So it can be very painful without guidance. And the nervous system is at a peak. So one becomes extremely sensitive. So I was sensitive. This mental screen would reflect all kinds of thoughts. I would not know where these thoughts are coming from. Then I would understand later, I developed sufficient reasoning to understand what are coming from this person, what are coming from other people. Like this, certain things merge. So that's where the protection of the Guru or the Guru Parampara becomes very important. I realized that at that time. Because without the Guru's protection, without the Guru Parampara, one is open-ended, to say the least. It can be a very, samadhi, these spiritual experiences can be literally unnerving. Your nervous conditioning breaks down. So your identity also gets dissolved. So who are you? That Nan-Yar becomes very critical. And there we link with the Guru Parampara. That protects practically. So that's why in higher dhyana and so on, definitely invoking the Guru or Ishta Devata becomes a must. Without that, one does not venture there. Gradually, as we turned to Siddha Parampara, we realized how even Vedanta Shastra takes it certain way, but in Siddhanta, even immortalizing the body is considered very important. So that's why our Siddhas have worked towards these deep aspects. And primarily the principle is Ande Shivam. That means love is God. So that way all Jivarashis have to, when you see, it is the Brahma Tattva that you see. Everything is a Linga Swarupa. A simple pointing to that Brahma Tattva. There is nothing other than the Brahma. So that is the Siddhanta. So there is nothing other than God. Then how will you act? And that is the principle of sustainability. And that is the principle of science also. So you need to act with passion because everything is God. Because there is nothing other than God. So what other, those called Veedu Tirumbaradu. So moksha in Tamil is called Veedu Tirumbaradu. That means, you are returning back home. So there is no other home that you are aspiring for. Iha Swarga Bhogeshu Icha Rahityam. So you need to live here as the destination. Because and God is everywhere, in here also. Then how would we live? And that is a sustainable life, guided by spiritual principles, which does not negate innovation, R&D, or passionate life. It does not negate anything. It's all inclusive. If I have, obviously Samadhi experience is indescribable, but I just hope I have done some justice. It is definitely worth aspiring for it, because whatever effort we put in any lifetime continues. I have served my gurus for many, and that's why if we say spontaneous awakening, it is not a miracle. It is through effort. It is through aspiration-driven effort. So that's why this aspiration has to be shown to our youth as a valid aspiration, not just aspiration for money, not just aspiration for survival, but aspiration for samadhi, for aspiration for being a rishi or a muni or a siddha, a mahatma. Each person is capable of being a mahatma, and that aspiration should be shown, and that is Bharatiya Sanskriti. That is the greatness of the Indian culture, which has shown this. So, this is in brief.
Thank you, Adhi Narayanji, for that immense retelling of your own journey. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ajay. We have established Vasudha Kali exhibition in the month of January, but many of our colleagues and core group members, they want to spread this message. So we are thinking that sometime in the month of August or September, we have some trainers training program, where like-minded people will come and they will try to understand the entire concept of sustainability, where people like you or Dilip Kulkarni or Raghunandanji, they will be faculty members. We are dreaming of having such workshop maybe for 5 days or something at Kanyakumari, or we may use your Anaadi Foundation. We'll discuss it further sometime in the month of August or September. Very kind of you for sparing time. Wish you all the best. धन्यवाद.